This is one of the most Duolingo sentence I've ever seen. I can't think of any situations that you'd say this sentence. I don't really recommend using 僕は unless you're today. I'm gonna fix Duolingo's Japanese. Now look, I'm not saying it's all bad, but a lot of sentences you see on Duolingo, no Japanese person would ever say them like that in real life. So I'm gonna go through them one by one and then show you how to actually say them in casual and real Japanese. Let's get into it. Okay, we got this sentence.
弟は日記をつけている。
弟は日記をつけている. Okay, we never say it like this. But the good thing about this sentence is it's in casual already. No Japanese person says つけている. We say つけてる. We skip this い. 弟は日記つけてる. Did you notice how I said it? I didn't say を. For most cases, we skip this お particle. 弟は日記つけてる. Or you can even add little speech pattern at the end like よ. 弟は日記つけてるよ. You can even skip this は. 弟日記つけてるよ. 弟日記つけてるよ. Now it sounds like a sentence you can actually say to a real person in a real conversation. It sounds way more natural. So 弟 drop は, 日記 drop を, and つけている drop い. 弟日記つけてる. Then you can add よ like a little speech pattern at the end. 弟日記つけてるよ. And if you want to learn all the rules about dropping particles, this kind of speech pattern that adds emotion to the sentence, I teach all of these stuff that are extremely important when it comes to speaking casual Japanese and connecting with Japanese people on a human level. So if you're interested, click the top link in the description.
私は自分の目を疑った。
Okay, this is one of the most Duolingo sentence I've ever seen. 私は自分の目を疑った. Like, this is correct. This is correct. Don't get me wrong. First, don't say 私は. You don't really say this when you're describing about someone. So it's so obvious that you're talking about your emotion. So skip 私は. It just makes you sound weird and unnatural. 自分の目を疑った. Okay, this is natural enough to say in a real conversation. But I would add little speech pattern. 自分の目を疑ったよね. よね is a casual speech pattern that adds emotion. Like a raw emotion to the sentence. Yo could work, but yone sounds more natural in this sentence. Okay, now it sounds like you're actually speaking like a real human. 自分の目を疑ったよね. I doubted my own eyes. This 疑う means doubt.
自分が間違っていたと認める。
This sentence means I admit that I was wrong. This English line sounds like something that you would say in a daily conversation, in a real life interaction. But this Japanese line sounds like a line from a book or from a news page. It doesn't sound like a sentence that you can say to real person. So let's change this. So we have to make it more emotional because this sounds like a robot. So remove this 自分が and switch to 私 if you're female. If you're a guy, use 俺は. I don't really recommend using 僕は unless you're really soft guy. Just stick to 俺は. You already know what to delete from this part. We don't need this い. Okay? 間違ってた. And this particle, this と, is mainly used in written Japanese. So we gotta use something else. Can you guess? 俺が間違ってたの no. Use no here. 自分が間違ってたの認める. It doesn't sound like you're telling this to someone. So use よ at the end. Now it sounds like you're actually saying this to a person and you actually mean it. So the final version is 俺が間違ってたの認めるよ. Now it sounds like you're saying, oh, I admit that I was wrong in a real conversation. 俺が間違ってたの認めるよ.
それは現実だ。
それは現実だ. Okay, don't say this in real life, please. それは現実だ. It just makes you sound like a anime character. If I wanted to say this in real situation, I would say それ現実. I can't think of any situations that you'd say this sentence. But if I ever say this sentence, I would say それ現実だよ and then remove は here. それ現実だよ. だよ is another speech pattern that I teach in Sama community. It's basically like a casual version of this. That's reality.
彼は僕を避けている。
彼は僕を避けている. Okay, this sounds weird. I never say kare in casual situations, even in polite situations. We usually use name when we call someone, when we talk about someone. So don't say kare wa. Just put their name, or if you're masculine and you're really close with the person, you can say aitsu, aitsu. We usually use it for guys. We don't really call girls aitsu. Maybe we could if you really hate the person. Aitsu is just a rough way to call someone aitsu. And don't say boku wo, please. It makes you sound like I don't know, like elementary school students, like 10 years old, 6 years old. So don't say boku wa. Let's say his name is Ken. Ken は僕を避けている。skip は and use 俺。Ken 俺を避けてる。俺のこと is more natural. のことのこと is more natural. But if it's too hard, you can stick with を。But the most natural way to say this is Ken 俺のことを避けてる。Again, we don't need い here. We don't need to say い here. Ken 俺のことを避けてる。He is avoiding me.
き、て、て、
No. 来てくださ
くださって、ありがとう。
来てくださってありがとう。Okay, so the casual Japanese and formal Japanese is mixed up here. It's so weird. So let's make this casual. 来てくださって is like a respect language. くださって is a respect language. So it's weird to say くださって and ありがとう, which is a casual version of ありがとうございます. It would make sense to say 来てくださってありがとうございます. If you want to say this to your friends, simply say 来てくれてありがとう. Okay? Instead of くださって say 来てくれてありがとう. 来てくれてありがとう. Now it sounds like something you can say to your friends, to your family, to someone you're close with. Okay, let's move on.
彼らはやがて図書館を見つけた。
I think the problem with Duolingo is the most of the stuff they teach is in written form. So saying these sentences just makes you sound weird in real casual conversation. Even though the sentence is casual, it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound emotional. It just sounds like a robot. So that's the biggest problem with Duolingo. That's something you gotta be careful with. They found a library in the end. We don't say yagate in daily life. And karera, we don't really say karera either. I would say aitsura if they are my friends. Aitsura. And we don't say wa. Instead of saying yagate, it's more natural to say 最終的に. 最終的に means eventually. あいつら最終的に図書館見つけたよ. Or we often use らしいよ. らしいよ is like a speech pattern for assumption, for making assumption. But even when we are so sure that it happened, we often use this when we are talking about someone or third person doing something or did something, because we didn't actually see that happen. We just heard the rumor. We just heard the news. We just heard the rumor. What we didn't actually see. So I'd say あいつら最終的に図書館見つけたらしいよ. We don't need all here either. あいつら最終的に図書館見つけたらしいよ. Now you sound like a native. Okay, we just transform weird Duolingo sentences to casual, real Japanese that you can actually say to your friends, your family. And as I transform those weird Duolingo sentences, I found a few problems. And the first problem is the sentences you see on Duolingo are often mixed up with casual Japanese and formal, polite Japanese, which creates confusion and which could mess up your Japanese. And another problem I found is that most of the sentences are in written form, because I don't really think people who are using Duolingo to learn Japanese are using Duolingo to be able to read or to write. You know, they are more casual learners, right? That means they are focusing on speaking more. They are focusing on listening. They are focusing on developing skills for daily Japanese conversation. The most of the stuff are in written form that makes you sound weird if you say in real life casual conversation, even in polite settings. So those are the problems I found with Duolingo today. I think it's a great tool for beginners to get them familiar to Japanese. It's better than nothing, but if you're watching my video, you're probably more advanced than beginners. So I don't recommend using Duolingo for your daily Japanese learning. It's just gonna mess up your Japanese. It's just gonna create a weird habit when you speak Japanese. So I don't really want to be disrespectful against Duolingo, but I want to be real with you. That's why this channel is called Rin Repio Japanese. This is a repio of Japanese. I'm exposing all the lies about Japanese language industry, and I only teach you the real stuff. And if you want to keep learning real stuff from me, make sure to subscribe. And if you're tired of this kind of robotic Japanese bullshit, there's a community where I teach you only the real stuff, and this community will be perfect for you if you want to learn casual Japanese to connect with Japanese people on a human level and stop second guessing the little casual speech patterns that you see on the drama, movies, because nobody really teaches you that kind of stuff. So basically, if you want a shortcut to mastering casual Japanese so you can connect with Japanese people and have a better social life in Japan, click the top link in the description and I help you. There's also a one-on-one coaching program for serious learners only. So if you want to master casual Japanese, if you want to get fluent in the fastest way possible, you can also apply from the link in the description. And I also keep teaching you the real stuff on this channel, so if that's what you want, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. You can also tell me what you want me to make next in the comment sections. Anyways, let's get out of foreigner phase and I'll see you in the next one. お疲れ.